Yo, what is going on? I started with my face not being the biggest thing on the screen. Yo, what's going on? I'm Marcus. Here we do attorney reactions to current events and trending news. And in this video, we are going to cover the big story for today is Sean Combs and his sentencing. We're going to talk about what happened, but more importantly, we're going to talk about what happens after this. What are your legal rights? What can happen in the proceeding after you have been sentenced? Also, we're going to talk about Tyrese in Georgia, who has an animal cruelty case, and why, because of a very interesting fact, it could be possible that Tyrese could be in really, really big trouble for animal cruelty, even though it's just, I know you think like animal cruelty, that don't sound that bad, but we're going to watch a quick video about what Tyrese got going on in Georgia and talk about it. We're also going to talk about $118,000 heist that occurred in Milwaukee. And we're going to talk about justice having a way to, I guess, potentially find itself without using the justice system, where an accused murderer had an interesting day in court. And some people might call it justice served. And finally, we're going to talk about an interesting story about Des Moines, Iowa school superintendent who was getting $300,000 a year and had zero zero background to actually be able to do the job. More interestingly, it was a guy who got arrested by ICE. We're going to talk about that because amazingly, at some point in time, a lot of people in Des Moines, Iowa love this guy because people were really rooting for him in the beginning until all the facts came out. As always, if you get some value out of this content, I'd like to invite you to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. I do have a video. I don't know. I'll let y'all let me know in the chat if y'all want to see it or not. But it was a video montage that Diddy submitted to the court as a mitigating factor in his sentencing hearing. We were damn sure wouldn't watch the whole thing because it was 11 minutes, but it was actually an interesting clip. I don't know how I felt about it. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want to check that out. Let's go ahead, dive into the biggest story of the day, Mr. Sean Combs. Let's talk about what's going on, and then we're going to cover a few legal nuances that occur or could occur after you have been sentenced or after he has been sentenced.
Right now, sentencing day today for Sean Diddy Combs, the judge sentencing the hip-hop mogul to more than 4 years in prison for his conviction on prostitution-related charges. It caps an emotional day in court today. ABC's Rita Roy is live outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan with the very latest developments. Rita.
All right, now real quick before Rita, a shout out to the news company covering this particular story, which was every news outlet in the world. But before we get here, that 4 years isn't just a 4-year sentence. It was broken up kind of interesting. So he essentially is, from the reports, what we're seeing, because I actually looked and pasted to see if I could find the actual sentencing instruction, but it looked like he has a 4-year sentence that's going to be split, with some of that time being done active, and the remaining time is going to be held over his head while he serves a probationary sentence. So let's go and see what Rita has to say.
Yeah, Judy, I can tell you that Sean Diddy Combs sat there expressionless with his hands clasped together as he learned his fate. Moments later, he turned to his family, 7 children, his mother, who were sitting in the gallery, and said, "I'm sorry. I love you." This sentence is, as we know, is much more than the defense had been asking for, which was essentially time served and would have sent him home by the end of the year. And it's less than the prosecution had asked for, which was more than 11 years. The judge decided on this amount of time, saying it felt right to send a message that violence against women cannot be accepted and that their stories matter. Moments before the sentencing, Sean Combs begged the judge for mercy, addressing the court, telling him that he is a changed man, saying that he's learned his lesson and will not put his hands on another person again. He has already served 12 months in prison, which he will get credit for. The judge also sentenced him to 5 years of supervised release and set a fine of $500,000, which is the maximum fine allowed under the law.
All right. So again, let's think about what she said. 4 years, but 5 years of supervised release. From all reports I'm seeing Diddy's essentially is going to be out relatively soon. From the reports that I'm seeing, because I didn't see the sentence and paperwork uploaded yet, but it looks like he has a 4-year sentence. Of that 4-year sentence, a little over a year is active, and the remaining time is going to be held over his head while he's on probation. If he does anything stupid during that 5-year probation, they will throw him back in the clink, the paddy wagon, the big house, and he'll go back to prison to serve the remainder of that 4-year sentence. Again, Judge Abrams, a Romanian, a Manhattan judge, sentenced them to this sentence, 50 months in federal prison. That's 4 years and 2 months. Convicted on 2 counts of the violation of the Mann Act. He's been in custody since September of 2024. So credit for time served is essentially what is being owed. Estimated numbers is 4 years in custody, about a year, a little bit more active. The remaining 3 years of that 4-year sentence will be held over his head while he has a 5-year probationary sentence. That's what it's looking like from all the reports. Of course, prosecutors pushed for 11 years. The defense looked for about a 14-month sentence, which essentially would have had him home by December. Now, a few things when it comes to someone being sentenced, just so we can cover them. Right to appeal. Every federal defendant has the right to file an appeal of a conviction and some aspects of sentencing. Diddy's legal team will, like I said, probably 100% certainty file an appeal with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. The ground for appeals. The ground for appeals for purposes of a sentencing may include, the ground for appeals overall is, 1, errors in trial. There were some errors made at trial. Either jury instructions were bad, certain evidence was deemed admissible that should have been excluded. So it could be evidentiary rulings, jury instructions, or prejudicial statements, or in the sentencing phase, the application of the enhancements or abuse of discretion. Now, we talked about that in an earlier video. When a federal judge is doing a sentencing, it's pretty much a balancing test. What are the aggravating factors for the state? What are the mitigating factors for the defendant? The judge has the discretion, or the court has the discretion, to look at conduct that wasn't necessarily the basis while Sean Combs was on trial. So the video of him abusing Cassie is something that the judge could consider as a factor, even though he wasn't on trial for that particular assault. All right. Next point for appeals are appeal bond. I don't see any reports that an appeal bond was issued. What is an appeal bond? An appeal bond is essentially a bond that a defendant might post once the execution of a sentence while the appeal is pending in a federal case to stay out of custody. It allows the defendant to remain out of custody on bond while the appeal is pending. But honestly, that is rarely, appeal bonds rarely happen. Interestingly enough, I've had cases where judges have put appeal bonds on, but it's not the norm. If the bond is granted, the defendant must post a bond to actually be able to get out of custody while his appeal is pending. So a scenario, a hypothetical would be, let's say they gave him a 4-year sentence and 2 of the 4 years were active and he's only been in custody for 1 year and he filed a notice of appeal. He has the ability the judge could put an appeal bond on, and if Mr. Combs paid that appeal bond, he would be out of custody until his appeal is actually heard. But that doesn't apply in the case. I'm just giving y'all what could happen once you're past the sentencing stage. Likely appellate arguments and strategy. Essentially, one argument is going to be an inconsistency between the jury verdict and the sentencing enhancement. Because the jury acquitted on trafficking and other more serious related charges, the defense is going to try to argue that the judge made a mistake by giving an enhanced sentence based on these other factors. That also goes into the abuse of discretion or procedural error argument. Like we talked about earlier, the defense might claim the judge inappropriately considered evidence that was outside of the scope that was in front of the court, or he put excessive weight on victim statements, past allegations. In any event, he deviated from generally what the guidelines would be. We talked about this earlier when we looked at the sentencing guideline chart. Another thing that could be challenged on appeal is the sentencing calculation or guideline error. They may be challenging how the offense level was calculated. We looked at the chart earlier, but the court could say, hey, maybe there was an error in how they calculated where our client falls on this citizen chart. And because of that error, he was exposed to a higher sentence than he should have been. Of course, there's always constitutional due process. What is due process? Just fairness. Due process just means, this is not fair. Contested limitations on cross-examination, that the sentence was substantially unreasonable, or some type of pre-trial trial error where the appeal will focus heavily on the sentencing. And they also may preserve objections to evidentiary rulings, jury instructions, or motions that were denied at trial. So on appeal, the court can look at shit that went wrong in the trial. The defense can bring up things that they believe went wrong in the trial. The defense can bring up the issues that we just talked about that could have been problematic and caused the client to be unreasonably and unconstitutionally over sentenced by looking at all of those aspects of the sentencing. So I'll be honest, on appeal, I don't know how well this is going to be. I think it's very low likelihood that there's any issue with the sentencing guideline because the charges were straightforward and his calculation of prior convictions or points was easy because he had no prior convictions. So it'll be interesting. I don't know how far this is going to get on appeal. I actually think that Diddy actually has a higher likelihood of getting a federal pardon from President Trump than he does of winning any of those appellate issues that could potentially be argued, in my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and move off of Sean Combs, and let's talk about Tyrese. Now, I will tell y'all something. I guess Michael Vick was kind of like poster boy for like the animal cruelty type of charges and those things with the dog fighting things. Now, Tyrese has charges that aren't that bad, but one, people love animals. People actually love animals than some people. Like, we've done stories on this channel about a homeless guy who accidentally got shot by a security guard, and nobody gave a fuck about the homeless guy. like nobody was like, oh man, like, oh, that poor homeless guy. Nobody gave two shits about the homeless guy. But a puppy, a cute puppy, oh man, you might go to jail for a cute puppy, for doing something against a cute puppy. Let's check out this story. I'm gonna give y'all the update of where it stands, but I'm gonna tell you this story is actually a terrible story, and the pure cuteness of one of the animals involved actually may be Tyrese's biggest downfall in this story.
Baby, promise me you. Singer and best known in Hollywood for his Fast and Furious warrant for his arrest. Have issued a warrant for his arrest over his large dogs at his Atlanta mansion, where we're now accused of killing another dog in his.
That dog is fucking adorable. That dog is adorable. This face right here on the screen here, I'm gonna just give the voiceover. This dog is actually adorable. And this face on the screen right here, this poor dog who I'm a pit bull guy. I've owned a pit bull. I owned a bunch of pit bulls. Actually, all the dogs I had, I think they were all pit bulls except for two. But hey, I love pit bulls. I love any type of terriers, Staffordshire terriers. I love them. My favorite type of dog. But if your big ass burly pit bulls are running loose in the community unwatched, one, you have an obligation to secure and make sure your dogs are secure. The fact that they actually unalive this beautiful dog right here, like this, bro, actually might like. We're gonna look at what the sentences are for these offenses in Georgia. But this dog is adorable, and hurting this adorable looking dog with this picture right here is, hey, people love animals. That's all I'm gonna say. You got these big ass pit bulls right here. Again, those are some fine looking animals right there. But they get loose out of your yard, and more of that cute, adorable dog we just saw. I don't know, bro. You might have to get your toothbrush for a little bit of time because people love their animals, bro. They'll make an example out of you out of an animal fast.
Who are now accused of killing another dog in his wealthy neighborhood 2 weeks ago.
If anybody shows up, I want you to bite their ankles off.
Police say they asked him to surrender his dogs, and he said no, leading them to search the home for the dogs while he was away. And when they didn't find them, they issued an arrest warrant for the singer and actor, accusing him of animal cruelty.
So this dude went on the run. He went on the run with his dogs and was like, you know what? We about to go on the lam, fellas. This actually is a wild story.
They've been released in our neighborhood for 6, 7, 8 months now. They've been off the leash at least 30 times.
Police say the neighbors have complained that his dogs were often running loose, and on September 18th, they were seen on a neighbor's security camera, accused of killing Harrison Parker's much smaller 5-year-old dog.
The pack of those 4 dogs were there minutes before I found Henry's body, and there was absolutely no cars, no humans, just the dogs. He died alone in the darkness at night, and I wasn't there. Henry is
fucking adorable. I don't know, bro. Like, you actually might go away for this one. Like, I know this actually sounds crazy because y'all don't think this is a big thing, man. But like, the other is the charges he's looking at are animal cruelty charges in Georgia. It could be a misdemeanor or a felony. So you probably think like, yo, it's nearly not that big of a deal. But the other thing that's going to be in the back of people's mind is, yo, you just letting a pack of big ass terriers roam free. What if it was a child out in the backyard or something? People saying the dogs was roaming free for days. It's quite common for them to be roaming free. Like, and even though that didn't happen, that's something that people are going to like. People, if you're on trial for A, people will look at B, C, and D, even though it's not the exact thing you're on trial for. This dog is fucking adorable. I don't know if this dude used the cutest pictures he owned of this dog, but Tyrese, you might have a problem on your hands.
a little King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. I raised him from a little puppy from just a few weeks old. And
man, that dog, that dog is adorable, man. This Tyrese, you might go away. You scoundrel, you. Allegedly.
You know, he never left my side. I really hope that justice is fully served.
Gibson was out of the country that night, and in a statement says to the family, "Please know that my heart is broken for you. I'm praying for your healing and for your beloved pet who never deserved this." His lawyer tells us that Gibson accepts full responsibility and made the incredibly difficult decision to rehome his 2 adult dogs and their 3 puppies in safe and loving homes. The question now is, when will Tyrese Gibson come in and handle this arrest warrant?
All right, so Tyrese update. He actually went and turned himself in today. He turned himself in. He paid a $20,000 bond, and he is out. Man, that dog is fucking adorable. Like, yo, you can't be like, you shouldn't harm any animals. You should not harm any animals. I'm saying, I believe that wholeheartedly. But Tyrese, bro, that adorable ass dog, you might be in trouble, bro. They might actually throw the book at you. And I'll be honest, that guy who was the owner of this dog, who they interviewed, he's the owner of this dog. He stays in this affluent neighborhood with Tyrese. It ain't gonna be nothing that you could pay that guy that's gonna satisfy him and make him whole from having this adorable ass dog. I'm telling you right now, Tyrese, you might be in trouble. Now, let's talk about in Georgia, animal cruelty could be a misdemeanor or a felony. Misdemeanor animal cruelty, you could be looking at a $1,000 fine and up to 1 year in prison. For felony aggravated animal cruelty, the first offense, 1 to 5 years of imprisonment and the fine of up to $15,000. Now, let's see what each of these offenses are. Georgia law defines misdemeanor animal cruelty as causing physical pain, suffering, or death to an animal without justification or failing to provide basic necessities like adequate food, water, and shelter. Subsequent convictions of a misdemeanor conviction following a prime felony is blah, blah, blah. We don't need to read that part. For felony aggravated animal cruelty is a more serious offense under Georgia law characterized by malicious intent. So definitely no exposure on the felony animal cruelty, but definitely a lot of exposure on the misdemeanor. And again, yo, that dog, bro, they actually might sit you down for like 2 or 3 weekends, bro. Like, I don't think you're gonna get like a year. It says up to a year in prison for a misdemeanor. I would not be shocked if they gave you a couple of weekends. The smaller dog wasn't out of the yard. Nah, and I will tell you that's an interesting point because I don't know if this is in fact the right charge to charge him with, just because the way that it's written. The way that this statute is written, it's kind of leaning towards animal cruelty being something that you as the owner do to a dog in your possession. So with that being said, I think that's actually a good point. When I read this, I was like, I don't know if this technically applies. We'll read the definition again. But apparently the dogs were out of the yard just roaming around, and the guy let his dog go out in the backyard to like use the restroom or something. And Tyrese dogs got in the guy's yard, and next thing you know, his dog was just gone. But I don't know if this is the right statute to charge him with. So honestly, the more appropriate cause of action would probably be a negligent civil cause of action. But the way this is written for this criminal law, it doesn't sound like it's necessarily applicable. Let's see. Let me read it again. Georgia law defines misdemeanor animal cruelty as causing physical pain, suffering, or death to an animal without justification. I guess if you look at it very broadly, I think that would apply. Misdemeanor animal cruelty is causing physical pain, suffering, or death to an animal without justification. Yeah, I think it applies. Or failing to provide basic necessities like adequate food, water, shelter. Yeah, so that second part of it is for animals in your custody or control. That first part of it is a little bit flimsy, but I think the way it's written, it could apply in this situation. That's actually interesting. Let's see. I mean, yeah, he can say that, but then, you know, if he can say that. That's why I think that's actually a good argument to say, like, yo, I'm out of the country. My help was supposed to do it. But all they would do is like, all right, well, in that case, what they could do is let's not charge you with the offense. Let's charge your help with the offense. And then the negligence cause of action would still be a viable one. I think that's the more appropriate cause of action here. Misdemeanor animal cruelty will probably be something that they can charge, but it's written a little bit weird, but I think it does apply in this situation. But if he's out of the country, he wouldn't actually be the cause per se of the actual harm that was done. Now, if it was negligence, he could have been out of the country. He could have been on another planet. He would have been liable because he hired these people to do the job, and those people were acting or made an error during the course of their employment. So what is it called? Respondeat superior, where the employee is the employer is responsible for the acts of the employee. But yeah, that dog cute as hell, Tyrese. And I don't know, bro. If you eat a conviction on misdemeanor animal cruelty, I'll be honest, like if you put this picture in front of a jury, the jury gonna be feeling bad for that guy, for that dog. They're gonna be like, yeah, you had an obligation. Like, I don't know. I think that's a fair point you made though, if him being out of the country, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Because a lot of artists say that all the time. So we have to see how the evidence play out. I think we did Glorilla in her marijuana arrest for possession of marijuana when she called the police after somebody broke in her house. And she asserted that she was out of the country. But hey, that's an adorable ass dog. Could be problematic. Let's take a look at this next story, because this next story is, I'll be honest, like there's a lot of ridiculousness that went on in this story. It's about a $118,000 heist that was done by two females. Let's go and take a look and check out this next story. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
On Thursday, investigators issued an arrest warrant for this woman, LaToya Watkins, for what they say happened here at the Milwaukee.
Now, this is an armored truck cash house where it houses all of the money that the armored trucks are picking up to drop off at, who knows, a restaurant so they can have some cash in hand at an ATM machine. Now, I don't know if the cops like whooped her ass or something, but this mugshot is actually crazy. Like she got like a black eye. Like I don't know if they tuned her up beforehand, but it looked like she got tuned up. But let's take a look at this scheme and how unsophisticated it was. I'm actually shocked it worked. It only worked because there were some employees at the cash house who I'm assuming they weren't following proper security protocol, and they were acting a little foolish too.
LaToya Watkins, for what they say happened here at the Milwaukee Loomis location back in August 2023. Newly filed court documents say Watkins showed up to the front door that day wearing a wig and a red polo shirt like other Loomis employees.
The criminal complaint says Watkins used the code word beach ball to get through the first set of doors. Once in a secured vestibule, just like this one, she struggled to enter the correct PIN number. She told a nearby employee, quote, "I'm here to work. It's my first day." That employee let her in.
Really? this story is actually this story is actually ridiculous. So she knew the password to get in. So I know y'all radar, y'all investigative alarm was going on when you heard that. She used the password to get in beach ball, and I don't even understand how they don't have like ID card access, but she knew the password. So clearly somebody gave her the password. Now she had on a wig and a red t-shirt, which is the uniform. I don't know if the wig is a uniform, but clearly the red, polo shirt is the uniform that they wear at this job. She gets into the first breezeway after she gives the password that somebody clearly gave her, and she can't get in, and she just tells the guy, "Yo, I'm working here, open the door," and they open up the door. This is crazy. I don't know if the person who opened the door got fired, but if I was the owner, I would be a little bit hot about that right now. Let's listen to the remaining of the story.
Vestibule, just like this one, she struggled to enter the correct PIN number. She told a nearby employee, quote, "I'm here to work. It's my first day." That employee let her in.
Those same documents say Watkins then found herself in the cash room, running off with a plastic bag containing $118,000. How'd she pull it off? Well, investigators say her girlfriend at the time, Dajanique Jackson, worked at Loomis with an online search history that included, quote, "What happens if I'm caught stealing money at work?"
I'm sorry, I'm about to choke. What happens if I'm caught stealing money at work? So her girlfriend Dajanae clearly gave her the password beach ball so that she can get through the breezeway. This is actually pretty stupid. I heard some interesting stories of like armored truck burglary attempts that just went terribly wrong because they were terribly stupid. This is definitely up there as one of the more stupid schemes. And the internet history, what happens if I caught stealing at work? You're probably going to get arrested, but it depends. Where you steal it, how you steal it, how the crime was done, what the amount was, a bunch of things.
I tried tracking down Watkins by phone.
Hi, I'm looking for Latoya Watkins. This is Hannah Hilliard calling with Channel 12.
And Jackson at a former address Thursday, but couldn't reach them. They are now both charged with theft.
Hannah, it took 2 years to file charges in this case.
It did, Deanna. The DA's office today tells me that they finally received 100 videos and some other evidence to review over the summer, which led to this week's charges. In the meantime, the whereabouts of Watkins remains unknown right now. She is the main target.
I don't know. Shame on the investigators in this case. Like, I don't think you needed 100 videos of evidence to put this together. She came in, she used the word beach ball, which was a password that she wouldn't have access to, but for somebody working there. The only thing you needed is to tie her. The only evidence you needed was to tie her and to her girlfriend who actually worked there. The video at the door is going to have her coming in with the wig on, with the red polo on, and going to have her running out with the money. Hey, I don't know. On the scale of criminally sophisticated mastermind ideas, this is definitely like a 1 on the scale of 1 to 10. Now, this next story is justice served. I don't know. Y'all let me know if this is justice served. Remember, everybody is just alleged to have had committed a crime until they actually either plead guilty or in the alternative are found guilty by a jury of their peers, or if it's a bench trial by a judge. But this is, I don't know if you would call it justice. I don't know if you would call it karma. Some people may call it just desserts. You know, people call it different things. I actually think that, I don't know. Y'all let me know. Is this a positive story or is this a bad story? But, you know, hey, karma can be, revenge is a dish best served cold. And I'll just leave it at that. Let's check this out. This is a real short video.
But first, all new at 4, a man accused of murdering his wife has a medical emergency in court, and then he dies.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing. Hey, bless the dead, both the victim and the defendant. You know, hey, yeah, no, you know, but like, come on now, like this is like, I'll tell you right now, I've lost a loved one to at the hands of a person that was a murder. I don't know if you go into court and you have a medical emergency in court and die. I feel like that's just God's divine intervention, and you know that's just. I mean, like I don't wish death on anyone, but like, come on now, certain things are just like that was divine intervention, which I think is actually kind of crazy. A medical emergency in court and then you die and you're accused of killing your spouse. That's actually wild.
Wife has a medical emergency in court and then he dies.
Yeah, he actually collapsed in court. Aniele Ruiz live in our newsroom with exclusive video and new details about what happened. Aniele.
Well, guys, James Paul Anderson was on trial for allegedly killing his wife, 34-year-old Victoria Anderson, inside her home. And today he was expected to take a plea deal, but
he's about to enter a plea deal. He was about to enter a plea deal. And I don't know, the fairness guys intervened and said, you know what? We're not even gonna waste any taxpayers' money with this whole trial housing this guy. This dude had a medical emergency and died in court on the day he was supposed to take his plea.
And today he was expected to take a plea deal, but witnesses tell me things escalated quickly. Take a look. This is video obtained exclusively by KHOU 11 News showing James Paul Anderson being wheeled out of the courtroom on a gurney. Witnesses tell me James had just been speaking with his attorney and asked for a few moments alone. When he returned, they say he spit something into a trash can, and minutes later, he started vomiting and was visibly ill. Officers moved him into the back room, and more law Enforcement arrived. Eventually, paramedics were called in.
I don't know. He spit something in the trash can, then he started going through all these convulsions and having all these issues. I don't know. He might have. He might have. It might have been a self-deletion. I don't know. I don't know. But that's actually interesting. I've never seen in my life, and I've been in court hundreds of times. I've been in court hundreds of times. I never seen a defendant pass away in court.
Told Anderson's attorney looked into the trash can and reportedly found a small bag with brown crystal-like substance believed to be meth. Because of that discovery, the judge allegedly declared the courtroom a potential crime scene. Anderson was taken to Bentop Hospital, where he was pronounced dead just before 11 a.m. And according to the district attorney's office, we've learned the DA's office was prepared to offer him a plea deal. He would have served 35 years in prison. Now, bailiff reportedly administered Narcan before EMS arrived, trying to save his life. Anderson had been out on bond on $300,000 after he was arrested following a lengthy SWAT standoff tied to the murder of his wife back in 2023.
Damn, $300,000 bond.
The couple did have a toddler at the time. Just a terrible situation for both families involved.
So he was either trying to get his last high in. It was one of two things. He was either trying to get his last high in before he took that plea deal for 35 years, or it's not uncommon. Sometimes, what do they call it? A death shot or something like that, where hey, when I take this last hit, this stuff right here is so crucial and so potent that it's going to take me out of the game. So it's probably giving self-deletion is what it sounds like to me. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. But it's funny that happens when he's entering the plea for 35 years. And he made a $300,000 bond, so he had about $40,000 to be able to make that bond. It sounded like he didn't want to sit down and do that 35 years.
And we hope to bring you guys more information later on today. We'll send it back to you guys.
I don't know. If you were the victim's family, would you be upset that would you be upset, or would you feel like you were deprived of justice because you couldn't see this process through? If it were me, I would just be like, okay. Like, all right, hey, sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to work out. It is what it is. Now, this next story, we're going to stay here the longest because this next story is actually pretty interesting. Did y'all hear in the comments? Let me know, did y'all hear about the school superintendent from Des Moines, Iowa, who was arrested by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement? Initially, this story happened, and okay, first of all, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say this. We need to be careful and do our due diligence before we make a determination of who we want to support. I've seen this happen all the time. Hey, I know a lot of people, y'all probably beat me up in the comments, but everybody was so excited to jump on the Black Lives Matter bandwagon. But if you actually do your due diligence and looked at what happened with all the money that was raised by Black Lives Matter, hey, black pockets and bank accounts matters too. So like, you got to be really cautious of the people who you want to lean on to make a story to prove a point. Like, oh man, this honorable school superintendent got picked up by ICE. He is here and he's the American dream. He started from nothing and worked his way up to be able to become the school superintendent of Des Moines, Iowa, a predominantly affluent community. And it sounded good, but as the days went on, more and more facts came out that made this story more and more ridiculous. So let's go ahead and check this story out so we can talk about it.
We are learning new details about a former Des Moines school superintendent arrested by ICE. According to documents obtained by the Associated Press, Ian Roberts falsely claimed a doctoral degree when applying for the job. He was hired even after the school board learned about the misrepresentation.
Okay, most people lie on their resume all the time. Or if you don't lie on your resume, most people like over embellish it. Like, hey, At my last job, I operated multi-line communication systems to support a staff of over 300 employees. I answered the telephone for a company that had over 300 employees. See the difference? One sounded very high speed, one sounded very basic. It's all in the wording. Now, putting a little seasoning on your resume isn't necessarily capping, but this dude clearly told some BS on his resume. But y'all pay attention, because they said that they caught him, but they said, you know what? We're going to let this slide anyway. Pay attention to that part, because this brother got breaks from a lot of people. I'm shocked that he got breaks from.
Fired even after the school board learned about the misrepresentation. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Lana Zach live for us in Iowa City. Lana, originally much of the community rallied around Roberts, but as more information comes to light, things have changed. What can you tell us?
And I'm gonna tell y'all, I seen the video of the community rallying around Roberts. I'm actually shocked. I've never seen, like, this brother it was probably like 70% white people out there just saying, like, free superintendent and chastising ICE. I've never seen he had a coalition of soccer moms and everything out there in support of him until all the facts came out.
Yes, we are learning so much more about Ian Roberts, who at one point was the superintendent of the largest school district here in Iowa. He is now in federal custody, and so much of his resume now appears to be grossly exaggerated, to put it generously. It turns out MIT says they have no record of him attending. That doctoral degree that he claims that he had from Morgan State, he never received. That did come up during the hiring process, but he explained it away by saying he had completed everything but the dissertation, and that allowed the school board to move forward with hiring him. However, there's other things that...
School board is stupid. The school board is stupid. Like, this dude, if you're so smart, you should be smart enough. Like, this dude is certain he has a doctor. This dude said he went to MIT, and he had to lie on a HBCU. But this dude said he went to MIT, had a doctoral degree from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. Like, bro, if you had all of those things, when they call you out on it and you say, oh, I did everything, but I didn't do my dissertation. Like, but to be fair, it's not even Ed Reed's fault. He looked like Ed Reed. It's not even this dude's fault. The school board caught it. He told him a dumbass excuse, and the school board was like, you know what? We believe you, black guy. And so let's go ahead. Like, this is actually crazy. I actually looked up the school board. It wasn't the school. I've never seen so many. Hey, there's a lot of white people who gave this dude the benefit of the doubt that he didn't deserve, despite all of the red flags. I wish I would have been on the school board, because I'd have been like, wait, what? You went to Morgan. Oh, now you're telling us you didn't do your dissertation? Nah, bro. If you're making an over-exaggeration, i.e. lie this ridiculous, you need to get up out of here. We don't need you here. We don't need to be wasting $300,000 a year paying you money.
That are deeply, deeply troubling that have come out, including even the Best Principal of the Year award that he would celebrate that he had received. Turns out that George Washington University says they don't even give out that award.
This dude was just a capping.
We also have learned that back in 2023, soon after he was hired, it seems like he also had a restraining order placed against him. We're still trying to dig into the details of all of that. But as you can imagine, none of this even comes close to comparing to how much hot water he's in when it comes to these federal charges, because we learned today through court documents that not only did federal agents find...
I don't know. I'm going back through these videos. Hey, I don't know. I'm going back through these videos. Every video he in with one of his suits on, all I see is a bunch of women in the background. He might have been using the gift of gab to get over on them.
Turns out that George Washington University says they don't even give out that award.
Yeah, I don't know. Look how they
also have learned.
Even
That
I don't know. All right, now it's starting to make sense. All right, so first I was a little confused, but now I'm less confused. Look how they all looking at him. They all enamored with this brother. This brother went in there. It's every video they show. It's just always a bunch of women around. So I don't know. Maybe he used his charm to finesse his way into a $300,000 job. Y'all let me know. Am I wilding out? But every video they showing is nothing but a bunch of women around.
Award. We also have learned that back in 2023, soon after he was hired,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
It seems like he also had a restraining order placed against him. We're still trying to dig into the details of all of that. But as you can imagine, none of this even comes close to comparing to how much hot water he's in when it comes to these federal charges, because we learned today through court documents that not only did federal agents find one handgun in his possession when in the school car that he was driving when he was arrested, but they also did a search of his home. There were 3 additional firearms that were found in his home. Now, it is against the law, we should say explicitly, for somebody who is not here with legal status, and he lost his legal status after overstaying a student visa. It is illegal for somebody without legal status to possess a firearm. Again, one of those firearm charges came up during the hiring process. Roberts explained that away, and the board said at that time that all of it made sense to them.
He had a firearm charge that they talked about. He had a firearm charge that the board was cool with. The board might be actually a little gullible or something. The board, I don't know what's going on with the board, but he had a firearm charge that he was able to explain. He had a lack of a doctoral degree that he was able to explain. And in spite of that, the board said, let's move forward with paying this dude $300,000. Now, I know what y'all thinking. Anytime y'all hear the word ICE and you see somebody getting deported, and this guy had appeared to have purportedly at some point in time, people presume him to be an upstanding citizen. I know y'all immediately thinking, man, President Trump is not playing with ICE. Now, this is interesting. He did not get on ICE's radar during President Trump's administration. It was actually under the Biden administration where the initial paperwork was done identifying this person as someone who needed to be in ICE detention. Why? Because he had a previous criminal charge related to a drug offense and a previous criminal charge related to firearms, like they just said. And when he gets caught, what does he do? He flees in his car with a firearm in his car. But this actually started under President Biden's immigration and customs enforcement.
And they proceeded clearly with his hiring.
What are they saying now, though, Lana? How is the school district reacting to his arrest?
You know, they have really changed their tone. Initially, when word of his apprehension by ICE agents came out, the community rallied to support Dr. Roberts, as they affectionately called him. The school, even in their initial press conferences, quoted him. The members of the school board said we should continue to conduct ourselves in the way that Dr. Roberts would have encouraged us to do so, with empathy. Now they're issuing a statement that says the Des Moines School Board is also a victim of deception by Dr. Roberts, one on a growing list that includes our students and our teachers, our parents, and our community. He is also potentially facing legal challenges from Des Moines. They are considering pursuing legal action against him for deception. And we also know that another school district that he headed up, Mill Township in Pennsylvania, that they plan to pursue legal action against him.
Now, y'all let me know. Y'all let me know in the comments. Are they doing too much to Dr. Ian? Are they doing too much to self-proclaimed Dr. Ian? Now, this is where I wanted to bring up, because people vouch for Dr. Ian and the school board. I don't know what he said. His interview had to have been amazing. I've actually applied for jobs where it expressly says your background and experience stated in your resume, your CV, will be subject to verification. Like, I don't know, but I want y'all to take a look. Let's take a look at the makeup of the school board, because I wanted to pull this up because I'm like, man, this guy got so many breaks. How did this happen? How did he have a community of 80%, 70%, I think it was, Caucasian people, white people who was just in support of this guy, even though they knew he lied on his resume and they knew he had a previous gun charge, they ignored all that to hire him. Now, I will be interested to see how he performed. I haven't heard anyone talk about how he performed as a superintendent, even though me personally, I think that's irrelevant. But I was like, what is the makeup of this school board? Like, I would like to know. Now, I had a suspicion just from this video. I literally just looked this up because I was like, it had been a lot of women on this school board because he was just finessing everybody. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've seen 6 school board members. 5 of them appear to be women who were sitting on this school board. So I'm just going to say that maybe he used his gift of gab and his charm to be able to finesse this situation. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. We're going to see if we can pull this up so we can get an image of the school board. Let's close that out. So I want y'all to see can y'all see the school board on the screen there in this image? Y'all see the school board? This is the school board that hired the doctor. This was actually yesterday as they were discussing the self-proclaimed Dr. Ian Roberts. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue how he convinced everyone to just let everything fucking slide. Black, white, men, women, I don't know how he did it. I'm thinking he probably used his charm because it was all the videos, it looked like it was a lot of women who was just buying into that shit. But do y'all think that ICE picking up the self-proclaimed Dr. Roberts is too far or not? I'm just gonna be honest. I think it's just, bruh, you out here running around with guns. You have a criminal conviction. You didn't take the appropriate steps to get what you needed to get done. So this story was actually interesting, but there's actually a little bit more to the story. Let's check out the lawsuit that occurred because of this. There was a lawsuit that occurred because of this. Let's remove this. Let's re-add this story. All right, so let's hear more about this lawsuit.
Des Moines Public Schools is now pointing the finger at the hiring firm for the Roberts scandal. The district filed a lawsuit today against Texas-based JG Consulting, which was in charge of the superintendent search. Local 5's Alex Fulton attended a special board meeting where the board had a lot to say about the search firm.
I'm already saying I don't understand the lawsuit. I don't understand the lawsuit just based on the facts that we get. The school board is filing a lawsuit against the hiring firm who did the search for candidates for superintendent. But in the previous report, it was said that the school board was aware of his previous gun charge and the false information on his resume, and they still elected to hire him. What difference do it make? They put other candidates in front of you, and you all selected the actual worst candidate, even after you were aware that the information that he had was disingenuous. Did he actually tell you about his previous gun charge, or was that something that came up and they asked him about it? I'm guessing it's probably the latter and not the former.
The Des Moines School Board was in closed session for about an hour and a half before it announced the lawsuit against search firm JG Consulting. The board stresses this is about accountability.
Something was clearly missed.
In a new lawsuit, Des Moines Public Schools is accusing search firm JG Consulting of breach of contract and negligent misrepresentation. The school board...
Told y'all, man, nothing but women on that school board. Look at the Des Moines Public School Board. This dude finessed all of these women and was like, yo, I got a gun charge, right? But don't even worry about that. I'm going to make sure y'all kids is squared away, and I'm going to earn that $300,000. I know. I put PhD on my resume, but in fact, I've met all the requirements. I just didn't complete my dissertation, but I was this close. So let's just go ahead and call me Dr. Ian. And the school board wants to sue the company who handled the recruitment for the candidates. It's not making sense to me. That actually sounds kind of foolish and asinine.
Hired the firm to handle the search that led Dr. Ian Roberts to be appointed superintendent.
The firm failed its duty to properly vet candidates.
You failed your duty to properly vet candidates.
Ian Roberts should have never been presented as a finalist.
I would like to know who the other people, like, he clearly did the best to get hired. So I would love to see the other candidates. I would love to look at those interview scorecards that they hired the guy who had the gun charge and who lied on his resume and actually didn't have a doctorate degree.
And if we knew what we knew now, he would never have been hired.
That's cat. Y'all did know at least some of it.
Board Chair Jackie Norris says the previous board understood that Roberts didn't hold a doctorate from Morgan State University. Earlier this week.
Okay, the previous board. So now I'm going to have to look. Let's let this video play, and I'm going to see if I can find out who the previous board was.
The district stated the firm initially received a resume from Roberts that showed the degree. During the background check, the error was flagged and was revised to say all but dissertation. That revised resume is what the board ended up receiving.
I think what we found is there are different versions of a lot of things. There are different resumes. There are...
They are incompetent, bro. I'm going to just be honest with you. I think this is a complete and utter failure on the school board. And I don't even know. Okay, let's say the previous school board approved this. You should have some awareness of the facts with which he was hired as the person who's actually sitting on the school board, considering he's the superintendent and y'all paying him $300,000 of taxpayers' money.
Transcripts that appear different, one versus an official.
DMPS alleges JG Consulting breached contract for, quote, failing to properly vet Roberts and by referring Roberts as a candidate when he could not lawfully hold the position. A federal criminal complaint shows Roberts was never authorized to work in the U.S. during his time with DMPS.
The contract required JG Consulting to bring all known information of a positive or negative nature to the board.
The suit also says the firm was negligent because it failed to exercise reasonable care in gathering, verifying, and...
I mean, I'm not going to say the lawsuit is invalid, but I don't know. If you want to sue them for some type of negligence, I think both parties had some culpability here. Clearly the hiring firm, but I also think the school board had some culpability in this as well.
Supplying information about Roberts. JG Consulting attorney Josh Romero said in a statement, quote, that the district has now decided to litigate about their choice of candidate at this time when they have had all relevant information since the beginning is unfortunate and unwarranted. Norris was asked if she anticipates the district to make any further lawsuits, including any against Roberts.
I think right now we're taking it one step at a time, and our focus right now is on the search firm and recouping taxpayer dollars and addressing reputational damage that's been done to our district.
DMPS is requesting a jury trial and seeking damages to be determined at trial.
That's actually stupid. That's actually, this entire thing is kind of foolish. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I think that's ridiculous. This dude is going to have to go to trial for his current gun charges that he had, since he's an illegal migrant who can't possess a firearm legally. He's going to have to go to trial. It's just a huge waste of taxpayer money. He should have never been in a position to be a candidate. He damn sure shouldn't have been a finalist, let alone he shouldn't have been the person who was hired once you found the false misrepresentation. If someone applies for a job and you identify that they're lying on their resume about their qualifications, you might as well just go ahead and say, you know what, I'm gonna bow out right here and say, you know what, we don't need to move forward with this candidate. Everybody has a little bit of gamesmanship on their resume, over embellishing things, rewording things to make them sound more favorable and applicable to the role that you're applying for. That's what we expect. But we don't expect you just to make some shit up and then explain it in the middle of the interview and people just to be like, oh, that makes sense. I like the way you explained that gun charge you had. It made sense. It wasn't them. It wasn't you. It was them. So we're going to let that slide. And we're also going to let slide the fact that you don't have a doctorate degree, which is maybe required for this job. Like, this is actually crazy. I think they do have a viable lawsuit against the talent search company if it's in fact true that they didn't have all the information. But the talent search company is saying, hey, we gave y'all all the information. You just made a bad choice. So I don't know. We're going to see how it plays out. But this isn't one of those ICE situations where I think we should just say, you know what? We're going to let ICE do their thing on this one because this isn't the one. This isn't the scenario that we need to be making a big fuss about. Prior drug charge, prior gun charge, current gun charge. This isn't the case we should be making a big deal about. He actually said he was an Olympian and he ran in the Olympics for his home country. I can't recall where he said his home country was from, so I don't want to say it and put this dude on some other country. And they're like, yo, don't give us this guy. We don't want him. But you all let me know what y'all think in the comments about today's story. And more importantly, y'all let me know on the Diddy front. Do y'all think 4 years was fair or foul? You think it was too much, not enough, just right? Y'all let me know. I said somewhere in the 5 to 7 year category, so I was off. I thought it was going to be somewhere between 5 to 7 years. It was a little bit under. I don't think he have a recourse, or I don't think he's going to have a viable. I don't think he's going to have a viable argument to win on appeal. But hey, he has the money, he has the capital. He should file an appeal. He's probably going to file an appeal. That's it for this video. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Y'all have a good weekend. Be safe. Be blessed. Again, I appreciate the support. Peace.